Many of QuickBooks users overlook or fail to understand the importance of properly setting QuickBooks preferences. A lot of QuickBooks preferences don't display if they're disabled. They don't show up in menus or the icon bars or even on the home page of the desktop. So users may not even be aware of some of the QuickBooks features that could help them in their daily tasks. I'm going to go over a few of them here. Like I said, inside QuickBooks, there's quite a few different things that really kind of help you. But you got to set them up with the preferences. And notice this is a standard sample company, Rock Castle Construction, using version 2011. I hate to load the 2012, so next time we'll be using that one. But you find it by going up here to the edit. And when you click on edit, you'll notice at the very bottom, the one I have highlighted there, it says preferences. So let's click on preferences. And let's bring it from the other screen to this one so you actually see it. Key to see how this works is on the left hand side you have the different categories where you can set preferences. Notice as I click on them they'll change on the right hand side. Under both you have some that are your preferences, and let's go to something like checking. Alright. Your preferences, when it says my preferences, these are ones that apply to you when you're the user and you open them. Company preferences need to be in a single user mode, so let's do that. I thought I was, but if you look up here you can see you're in multi-user. So let's switch ourselves over to switch to single user mode. And let's takes a second, and it says you're in single user mode and you're practicing. That one actually said you're in a sample company. The second one said you're in single user mode. So let's get this to, there we go. And now let's try it again. Edit preferences. And now you notice these are company preferences. What company preferences are, they're set no matter which user comes in. And you really need to have administrative rights, be the administrator to set these. If you look, like I said, you go down each one of these and you can make it do things that you might want to. Let's highlight some of the ones I really kind of like. Under my preferences, under accounting, there's really nothing there. But here, these should always be turned on. I want to see the account numbers. Sorry, this one here you need to require accounts. I don't particularly care about account numbers. In fact, myself, I personally don't like them unless I have a very large company. Um, it does help though. Having account numbers eliminates things like having advertising or spelled five different ways, and I've seen that. Personally, want to require accounts, no doubt about it. Class tracking is an interesting advanced feature where you basically put in class forces you to assign it to each transaction. What can be a class? Well, that can be a department. It could be. I've set it up for like an example of a department. Have a place that might have a repair department, might have a manufacturing department, the office, so on. By assigning a class, I'm able to get a financial statement for each one. Second thing is I can use a class for east side, west side, different locations. I even had truckers that have used it for each truck so they could figure out what each truck is working on. Other things, I really don't care about these. Kind of warn when posting the retained earnings. Nobody should be doing that, so you can really warn. I like to have these two posts clicked. Warn if transaction is over 90 days in the past, warn if a transaction or 30 days in the future. It's one of the problems with QuickBooks as opposed to other programs. Most accounting programs close a period down or don't or open them up only the 1 year in. So it's difficult to post outside of out of your time period. But one of the features that QuickBooks has that makes it easy is the ability to not have these accounting controls really. And this is one where it just kind of gives you a warning. Um, let's look at checking. Checking, I don't really care about that. Let's go to checking. And again, I don't really have anything under my preferences, but let's look right here. One of the things you can do, you can click on this one, which basically changes the check date when you're when non-cleared check is printed. A lot of people like to write all their checks at the beginning of the month and then print them as they have cash. So this way here, whenever you print them, that becomes the check number. Often like to put that one on. It saves some time because the QuickBooks automatically picks up the date. The account that you set up, and I'll get into that in a minute, and puts today's date and either says print or puts the next check number. So instead of having to click through, I can just start there. Warn about duplicate check numbers. I like that because you shouldn't be using them. Down here, autofill pay accounts and check memo. You might. I don't care too much about that one. This one down here, opening or creating paychecks. This here, I can set default accounts. So if I have a paycheck account, if I have a payroll account, I have different accounts, and we'll show you where else you can do this. Um, I can tell it automatically to go there. Now I can override it, so it isn't a big deal. If you do some online banking, you get different ways to look at it, so that's kind of interesting. Desktop view, kind of interesting. I can do my own preference, so I can have it as one window, which see what had happened. It did that. I can have it save when closing or don't save when you leave the desktop. Don't save tends to speed up loading and closing. Show home page when entering. We always like to get that one. Um, Relay, there's quite a few to show live community. It's up to you. You can change your color scheme. You can do whatever you want here. So finance charge, if you tend to do that, we're going to skip that one. Let's go to general. General, again, on my preferences under general, I personally like that one because I can just hit enter and it moves me from field to field. But that's a personal preference. That's why it's here. Automatically open drop down list. That'll speed things up. Bring back all one-time messages if you want. What else is here that is of any use? Show the home page when general. I'm sorry. Enable warnings. I kind of like different warnings in here. Warn when deleting a transaction, warn when printing, automatically remember the accounts. I personally like that one. Automatically recall last transaction. You can do either one. You can do, this one works a little bit better, so I could do that. Company preferences here. This is how you want to put in time formats, whether you want to do it with minutes or with decimals. Always show the years that way, or I personally kind of like that one, but it's again, this is up to you. Save transactions before printing. I definitely like. To hate to lose it. I want it saved before I print. It leaves a trail if nothing else. Um, Items and inventory. Let's see. Is there anything here? There is a few things. If you decide to have inventory, you need to turn this on. This is how you turn it on. Otherwise, it's just not there. So for some reason, you're going to add inventory and you don't see it. That's where you find it is in the inventory. We get that a lot. I like the enable warnings one too. Jobs and estimates. If you're doing estimating, this is where you would turn it on. Do you create estimates? If you don't click this, you're not going to see it. This also can do progress billing, so it's nice to put this in here. You can put different pending, awarded, in progress, closed, so on and so on. Warn about duplicate estimates. That's kind of cool too. Payroll and employees, again, one of those areas. Well, let's look at payments a minute. You can set up a lot of things like setting up electronic payments and getting started here to do credit card processing, paper check processing, e-check processing. All these are pretty cool, and we'll talk about them again more in the future. Payroll and employees. If you don't turn on payroll, you can do it down here too. You can come down here. If you don't have payroll, you'll have, do you want to start payroll? QuickBooks is owned by Intuit, which is owned by Microsoft, and they definitely know how to sell. So they'll tell you. But here you can put full payroll, no payroll, complete payroll, customers, whatever. What else do we probably enable job costing? That's pretty good. That way you can track your payroll to each one. Um, Assign one class per earnings items. That's kind of handy. So you might want to think about that. So you can do it by earning instead of the whole paycheck. So this way you can actually classify job costing and things to different things. That's a new feature which really kind of helps things. Um, let's look at reminders. Reminders often aren't used as much as they should. So we can look at reminders, and in here you can set under my preferences, you can show reminders list when opening a company file, which is pretty cool. That way you see it all the time. And probably here you can just accept the defaults just as easily. Um, what else? Reports and graphs. I'm not saving any, obviously. Here, if you're on an accrual basis or cash, this tells you how they're going to open. Not bad. And it saves you a lot of trouble and makes sure you're always looking at them looking the same way every time. Um, Statement of cash flows, you can go in there, format. That's pretty much all you want here. Refresh automatically is something that I would make sure I put on there. That way, the reports just automatically refresh every time you change a transaction. You don't need to worry about it. Sales and customers, normally I just accept the defaults, so no big deal. They're pretty good. They're usually set up right, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. If you owe sales tax, though, then that's something that you would. Sorry, let's let me get to the sales tax. Sorry, if you charge sales tax, this turns on that feature. You have to say yes, otherwise all those things pretty much disappear. Um, you can look here, assign sales tax codes. You can pretty much, put the major ones so that it automatically assigns this one. You can obviously overrule it, tell it how often you pay your sales tax. And this is kind of an important feature right here. When do you owe sales tax? As of the invoice date or upon receipt of payment? That makes a big difference on how it calculates it. Usually, you want to have that one because why pay it until you get paid? Um, let's see what we got here. Spelling, that's a pretty cool one. Um, my preferences here. You can tell it to enable spell check personally, like that one. So always check spelling before printing. It's just a good idea. Eliminate a lot of the problems and errors you might have. Let's see. Let's flow this down a little bit more. There's not much here left. Probably time tracking. If you're going to do time tracking, this is how you turn it on. And you can tell it the first day of the month, which is the first day of the work week, which is important. You can create invoices from a list of time and expenses, track reimbursed expenses. You can do markup. You can default markup account. You can put that in here. So, I mean, there's quite a bit you can do. As you can see, setting the preferences really is important in order to do two things: turn things on and save you time, and really a third thing I should not forget, which is eliminate errors. So, until next time, hope this helps you with your QuickBooks, and I'm sure it'll make your life a lot easier. Thank you, and check in with you next month. Thanks.